All right. So, welcome to the Stars and Cards. We're going to be focusing on the month of October. However, we're also going to be covering the last quarter of 2021 and then also going into a little bit of a preview for 2022. And then we'll also be consulting the tarot cards. So, looking at the astroscape, the astral terrain, and then for specific motifs. And details we'll be going through the tarot. Okay, so with October 1st, what we're like cracking open the month with is Mercury square Pluto. Okay, this is really significant because this is the second alignment, the second of three alignments between Mercury, which is the planet of communication, the mind, our perception, our communication, and Pluto, which symbolizes the, he's the god of the underworld, and is all about power and personal transformation. Well, actually, it's a very global sign because, or excuse me, not sign, but planet, but rules over transformation and specifically transformation of the soul. It's a very deep, deep planet. So with a squaring aspect, what's happening is that it's a challenging aspect, and it's challenging us to transform the way that we think. And this is also significant because it is, Mercury is in his retrograde phase. So because Mercury is, doing the backward trickster dance, that's why this alignment happens 3 times, because as Mercury goes, direct, and then goes backwards, and then, or as Mercury's going forward and then goes backwards and then goes forward again, it's hitting that point. So let me just pull up the chart here. And something that's also important to note is that there are tons of retrograde planets happening right now. And so basically what that means when a lot of planets are retrograde is that there's a lot of internal processes happening. And we may not be able to see the changes and the manifestations that we really, really desire in the outer world because we're in an internal process. And so it's like, that's very common, right? And especially if that planet is your ruling planet, you're going to feel that even more. And so what do I mean by your ruling planet? So for example, let's talk about Mercury. Mercury rules over the signs of Gemini and Virgo. That's the ruling planet, whether that's your sun sign or if it's your rising sign. And also, I find to a lesser degree, your moon sign. Those are arguably the 3 most prominent points in the chart. It's your chart ruler, but especially if it's your sun sign or your rising sign. That planet is like, it's like what is steering the ship, as you're traveling, through your life. And so whatever that planet is doing and what terrain that planet is in is really going to be describing for you your personal journey. And that's going to be different than anyone else, any of the other signs. So the fact that we have all of these retrograde planets means that a lot of people, a lot of their ruling planets are going, on this very internal process. So let's look. We've got Mercury that's retrograde. Venus is not. Mars is not, but Mars is in his underworld journey. So for those that are ruled by Mars, these would be Aries or Scorpio. You're also going through something very, very significant right now because Mars is is at a halfway point, at the kind of like it's facing the dragon. You know, like if you were to look at your life as like, or this journey that your ruling planet is on, it's a 2-year cycle. You're at that point where it's like, this is where you are really, you know, if you are on the hero's journey, um, you're either about to do something really, really big or face something really, really big. You know, or if you really haven't been doing that, you know, maybe you haven't been as proactive or conscious of your life and things like that, then you might be experiencing a lot of challenges, because this is a very challenging position. If you want more info on this, I suggest that you check out the last video that I posted about styling in hell, kindness and chaos, because I talked specifically about the Mars, um, what Mars is doing right now and what you can do about it, and the timing pieces around that. So that's Mars. And then we have Saturn, which is also retrograde. Jupiter, so Saturn rules over Capricorn and Aquarius. And then we have Jupiter, which is also retrograde, rules over Pisces and Sagittarius. And then even these outer planets. So the outer planets, you know, I work a lot with classical astrology. So, and I'm going to talk about that because that's specific. That I wanted to talk about something that is really unique to 2022. But these outer planets, you know, I don't work with them as much. I consider them, but both of the outer planets, Uranus and Pluto, are also retrograde. So, and it's when these planets, and all of these planets, by the way, every single one of them is going to be stationing direct in October. October is a fucking big ass month for 2021. It's huge. And this next week in particular is, if I could sum up this first week of October, is if you are not doing the planets will do you, because that's just the way that it works. So the fact that all of these planets are stationing direct is a very strong impetus of forward movement, especially in areas of your life where you may have been feeling like things haven't been moving, things have been stuck, things have been stagnant, or you haven't been seeing the outward manifestations as much as you would like. This forward movement is going to shift a lot of that. And especially more as Mercury, when Mercury actually completes the retrograde cycle. But that's going to be happening, I think, last out of all of the, excuse me, the planets, the main player planets. So yeah. So right now, we're in a dark moon. What that means is we're coming to the end of a lunar cycle. So, you know, the lunar cycle is akin to the women's menstrual cycle. It's like a 30-day cycle, 27 and a quarter days to be exact. So always at the end of a cycle, like we're starting this month on a dark moon in the sign of Leo. So this is where we can notice that our energy might be lower ebb. You might be feeling more tired, more fatigued. You might be feeling like nastier, meaning like more emotional, more tender, because it's a death, it's a dying, you know, it's a dying. The moon doesn't have a lot of juice. It doesn't have a lot of energy. So, so just know that that's normal. And when it does come to this time of the month, that, you know, just up your self-care, right? It's really important that you get plenty of rest, that you get plenty of fresh water, that you spend time out in nature to recharge your batteries. And it's a great time to just doing banishing rituals and exercises or cleanses that help you to release and let go, to clear the slate for the new cycle that is starting. So we start the month like that, October 1st, on a dark moon. And then the new moon actually begins on the 5th, I believe, or is it the 6th? Let's see. So the new moon actually begins October 6th. So, this is, new moons are, they're the beginning of a cycle. It's where, we start things fresh. And this one is conjunct Mars. So it's going to have an edge to it, right? It is going to ask a lot of you. And potentially, like I was saying, if you don't do the planets do you. If you're not actively, being courageous, right? Engaging your will, really asking yourself, and aligning yourself with your true will, you'll most likely be experiencing power trips with people, a lot of bickering and arguing, fighting, triggering, feeling triggered all the time, defensive, it's kind of the vibe. So it's kind of an interesting new moon. Not the most pleasant and easy of energy. However, malefic energy, I term it like this, meaning the planets that are considered malefics, they're more challenging. Mars and Saturn, it's, everybody wants it to be a diamond, but nobody is willing to make the cuts. Everybody wants to be a gangster, but when it's time to do the gangster shit, nobody wants to do it, right? And it's actually these planets that separate you from the crowd. And what I mean by that is they are what, really create the diamonds, of our soul. And they help us to cut away at all of our lesser, and what I mean by lesser is like, the human parts of us, the parts of us that, aren't the most evolved, that aren't, the most upright. And so, they're really great planets to work with. And actually, some of the things that have been dropping through for me, as I've reopened this group and as I've been reflecting on my business and the direction that I want to take and the Star Disco brand, is doing a series that I am terming the Malefic Mafia, which is all on Mars and Saturn. So, anyhow, what else is important to note? So that's October 6th, and that's also the day that Pluto is stationing direct. So this is a day to really mark in your calendars. And in fact, I am going to be doing that here. It's a day to watch out for. It's just an overall day, it's great for doing depth psychology, using that in, intense therapies, working out, really facing some shadowy shit, really choosing to cut ties with the past, you know, changing who you are, changing your identity, all those sorts of things. Um, you know, not the worst day to be just like taking that inward just for you and to address stuff that you're going through, because it potentially, you know, it's like the usual suspects. If you've got situations and or people in your life that tend to rub you the wrong way, that are chi vampires, chaos addicts, right? They're going to be the muggles will be fucking going at it, right? So it's good to just be aware of that so that you recognize that within yourself, and then also have grace and compassion for those, you know, that you surround yourself with in the world that are going through. And it's just good to be aware that in the collective, it's a really challenging energy for a lot of people. So be compassionate, be kind, you know, extra helpings of grace with yourself and with others on that day and the surrounding days. So that's October 6th. Mm, mm, mm. Um, I'm looking around for a book. Let's see. I'll just look it up online here. Oh. Something that what I was looking for is I wanted to just get a little bit more info, like specific dates around Mercury, what Mercury is doing, because the month of, you know, October is, remember, it's this Mercury retrograde, which is, you know, it's just incredibly, you know, when it comes to our reality, you know, our reality is our personality. I mean, it's our personal reality. And so those aspects of our reality are how we think, how we feel, and how we act. So Mercury, which is how we think, right? It's our perception. So our perception is our reality. The fact that Mercury is retrograde means that, you know, there's this incredible portal that we're in to really shift our perception, you know, to change how we think and how we look at our life. And so, you know, that's like a big theme. Wherever you have Libra in your life, know that that's where this potential to have massive transformation in your life is happening. And so, you know, October 1st, we're starting with that Mercury square Pluto. So that square aspect is asking us to take action on something, you know, and if you're not taking the action, remember how I said, you either do the planets or the planets will do you. Now, on October 3rd is when Mercury is going to be squaring Jupiter. And so Jupiter is a more it's a more expansive aspect, and you might finding where you have some opportunity, right? Some like aha moments, and like a feeling of like a vision of more clarity around what it is that you're trying to do and what you're trying to change, in this area of your life. So um, that's October 3rd. And the Cazimi is on the 9th. So that's the middle point of this Mercury retrograde cycle. And it's known as being in the throne room of the king, where it's like where we're given a mandate, we're given a direct message from soul, from source, from God, goddess, from your highest self, as to, creating something new, going on a new mission, right? So, and that's also really, that's the 6th. So that's like right after that Pluto stations direct. So there's just like this interesting, like if we're kind of seeing like this ping, like a da da da, like these different petals opening, right? In the month of October. And so that new moon is on the 6th, Pluto stationing direct, right? And so that's going to feel like a big, like, cleanse, like a psychological fucking colonic. And then, on the 9th, that will have created, hopefully, if you're doing your work, created some space in your psyche and in that area of life for you to have clarity around what it is that, you want to be changing. So, okay, so that is on the 9th. That's the albedo, the Mercury Cazimi, for those of you guys who have done my Mercury retrograde or the Mercury edition of Star Disco, Astro Magic and Fitness for Sexy Witches. You guys are familiar with the albedo. So that's on October 9th. And then, give me a moment, guys. I've got all of these tabs, which is a very interesting sign for me to have all of these tabs open. It's a sign for me to be doing. I've been doing, a good amount of meditation, which feels amazing. But today, like I said, a lot, came up for me. So it's like closing the tabs, right? Like closing, and clearing out things in my mind, right? So helping me to get clean and clear. Something that also is happening on October 9th is Venus. Okay, Venus is the planet of love and relationships and self-worth, creativity, is also ascending. She's doing something very special, and she's ascending to the third eye chakra in her hero's journey. So we're getting really close to, as we get towards the end of the year, Venus is coming to the end of her cycle. She is going to be retrograde. Let's see when she stations. Yeah. In December, she's going to be stationing retrograde. So the Venus retrograde cycle is happening um, in the sign of Capricorn. And this is happening at the end of the year. So this is really significant for anybody who's Venus ruled, um, Libras and Tauruses, or anyone who is an artist, artisan, a designer, maybe, beauty, creativity, love and relationships, that whole sphere of life. It's really important because Venus is going through her death and rebirth process. So, the fact that, so she's on this ascension journey where, and it's coming to the end, right? Because it's coming to the Ajna chakra, the gate of perception. So there's a lot of this perception stuff that's happening. It's so much about our mind, right? That's how I'm seeing like October is reclaiming the gifts of our pineal gland, of the third eye, of really tapping into alternate dimensions, the having crystal clarity in our vision of what it is that we want and where we're going and who we want to do it with, all this kind of stuff, right? And so Venus is going to be reclaiming that gate of perception, the third eye chakra, on October 9th. So for the next month, that's definitely something to work with. In your magical rituals, or if you work with Venus, and just really bringing awareness to working with the goddess energy in that aspect of your life, in that third eye. And that is happening in the sign of Sagittarius. So, yeah, not going to go into that. That's, there's more, like, for those of you that want to do deeper Venus work with me, these are the things that I go into, like really going much, much deeper into the hero's journey, specifically with Venus and through the signs and, the chakras and all of that. So that's October 9th. And then October 29th is another date, because that is where Venus reaches maximum brightness. Okay, so for those who practice astrological magic, one of the things that we always look for, right, is we're about capturing the light of the stars, right? It's Ayurveda, Jyotish astrology, that Vedic astrology. A lot is about, it's the science of light, right? And so Venus is getting brighter and brighter, like as she's ending her journey, right? As the evening stars, she's just getting bigger and brighter in the sky. If you go out and watch her, I highly recommend just start noticing how big and bright Venus is going to keep getting from now until the end of the month. So, Libra is the sign that is all about love and relationships. So, that's where the sun is for a big portion of the month of October, because the sun is moving through the sign of Libra. So relationships are a huge theme, and Venus is just like shining, right? Like this is really an amazing opportunity to heal your relationships, to shine in your relationships, to, have clarity about your relationships, to, tap in and connect with other visionaries, other artists. And this is just going to be, that's what's been happening for me, big time, is there's been a lot of people leaving my life as I have been really taking my self-mastery journey, and just strengthening that relationship and, deepening my investment into myself. So many people are falling away, people that aren't really truly in alignment right now with who I am and who I'm choosing to be and where I'm going. But what is that's doing is it's making all of this space for these new partnerships. Like these new people are starting to come into my life, and I'm like, and the they're higher caliber. And what I mean by higher caliber is that they're more in alignment with me, more powerful people doing big things in the world, big leaders. And it's, I wrote a post recently about this, is the more that we really anchor into trust and we anchor into our role as leader and into our self-mastery, it's like you will start shaking, like it separates the chaff from the wheat. And that's what this part of the year is about, right? Going into the fall season, right? It's like things are falling away. We're separating. It's like the harvest. Virgo is the symbol of the harvest, where you're harvesting the wheat, right? You're harvesting from all of the work that you've done all year, right? And it's like you're bringing in all of the grain from the fields so that you can store it through the winter months, right? And you're deciding what you're going to do with all of these things, and also, but you're separating the chaff from the wheat. You're separating the stuff that isn't serving you, that isn't nourishing you, that isn't feeding you, that maybe went bad, that maybe went rancid, that, going through all of your stuff, right? And like getting rid of what doesn't serve you. And then because you're able to do that, you're really able to bring in what has meaning and value to you. So, and in that process is where we really get to shine, because we're becoming more clear, like the heart, like the diamond consciousness, the diamond of our hearts, right? That is, by the way, that's Venus's sacred gemstone is the diamond, also the emerald, but the diamond is very, very much associated with Venus. It's like that becomes more clear, like the clarity. You know how they grade diamonds is by their clarity. And so this is what's happening, right? Is that clarity is happening of the diamond of your heart, the heart brain coherence, right? Being in alignment, your heart and your head are on the same page. There isn't distortions happening in your energy. And so, October 29th is where this maximum elongation, meaning where she's as furthest away from the sun that she gets in her cycle. She's the highest in the sky that she's going to get, is on October 29th. So, she'll be in the sign of Sagittarius, where she doesn't really have any dignity, meaning she doesn't really have magical powers, but the fact that she is so bright, is a power all unto itself. And so, it is something worth mentioning, as it pertains to working with Venus magic and just really experiencing greater levels of freedom in your relationships and in love and in your self-expression. So that's exciting, right? But in order to do that, there's like all of this other stuff that has to get done, right? Like this Mercury work, and then let's see. Pluto stations direct on the 6th. Saturn stations direct on the 10th. Okay. So right after that new moon, and the Mercury cazimi, Saturn stations direct. So this is really important for the Capricorns, for the Aquariuses, and anyone who is a business owner, because Saturn is business, right? It rules over what you are choosing to have mastery over in this lifetime. And so, you know, I am Capricorn rising. So I have really, like, I know, I am very much aware, and I have witnessed that when Saturn goes stationing, you know, stations retrograde or goes direct or moves or does any sort of alignments, it's like I feel that. And so, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to that day. I actually have some things planned around that, some um, um, offerings that you know, it's still dropping in, and I am still cultivating clarity around that, but it's about working with Saturn. It is going to be another offering of the Star Disco brand, you know, working with Saturn, the magic of Saturn, the business of your soul, working with, because Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius. So that's where this energy is going to be moving forward in your life. So where is Saturn? Where is Aquarius in your chart? Because when Saturn stations direct on October 10th, that's where, you know, you're going to notice a movement forward in that area, you know, and Saturn is, you know, remember, it's the planet that is, it's the cosmic gatekeeper, the cosmic taskmaster. It's like, you don't pass go, you don't collect $200 unless you do your Saturn work. So that, I suspect, is like definitely a key thing that it's like, because it's the foundation. So we're going to notice a lot more like headway happening, especially things that we've been wanting to build in our life, when Saturn stations direct. And it's in the sign of Aquarius. So, you know, I, just to kind of give you like an idea, I did a program at the beginning of the year called Unicorn. And so that was, it was working with the Mercury retrograde cycle, but also Saturn, because it was in the sign of Aquarius. The Mercury retrograde was happening in the sign of Aquarius, and Saturn was involved. And so that is something that I am what's the word that I'm looking for? Not recycling it, but in a way, right? Like recycling that material, and doing something specifically working with Saturn in Aquarius. So that unicorn energy, the energy of purity, and um, but also self-mastery and building things and leaving a legacy, the business of your soul, all of these themes, it's still coming through. So I appreciate your patience, if that's something that, you know, is speaking to you and you've been desiring. You know, just know that I will keep you posted, you know, as that starts to drop in more. But I will be doing, that's something that, you know, I want to do. And, you know, in the Star Disco brand, this will be the second malefic that we will be covering. So we did Mars, which, you know, just has been so incredible. I'm so grateful for that amazing Mars Moxie. I'm super stoked and excited to be offering Mars Moxie again in November, November 11th, because Mars is going to be in Scorpio. So it's going to be fucking amazing. So, but the malefics are there, they don't fucking play, right? It's like, if you do them right, you get fucking amazing results, you know. But it's also like, it's something serious you take very, very seriously, so you don't rush it, right? So that's why I'm like, I'm not rushing this Saturn piece that's coming through, especially because it's foundational. So, but just know that that is coming through, and I'm sure a lot of that is going to filter through once Saturn stations direct on the 10th. So that's on the 10th. And what else? Venus moves into Sagittarius on the 8th. So, you know, Venus is changing her modes. I know I'm kind of going like all over the place. So I appreciate your patience. That's just where, like, this is the energy. This is the fucking energy. So whenever a planet does move into a new sign, though, its significations are heightened in the collective. So just something to be aware of, that is on October 8th. And what else? What else is important to note? Jupiter stations direct on October 18th. Let's see when that full moon is. Yeah, so Jupiter direct on October 18th. So this is super exciting. You know, Jupiter is known as the greater benefic. We love Jupiter because Jupiter is about expansion and wealth, health, prosperity, like all the good stuff, right? Like we love Jupiter because it's like all the, like the good stuff. It's like when we're praying to God, it's like, you know, it's like that's usually what we're praying for, right? It's like, give me all the good stuff, God, right? Like that's Jupiter. Good times, good food, celebrations, you know, luck. And, you know, he's been retrograde. So it's like that hasn't been as plentiful, like meaning, you know, not to say that, you know, we're at the whim or the mercy of the planets. Like we're in a relationship to them. So just like imagine, you know, that sort of character in your life. Like maybe you have, you know, Jupiter characters in your life, Sagittarius's, Pisces people, like that overflowing energy of enthusiasm and faith and optimism, right? Like has been inward in these people, right? And so it's just like imagine like that person, if that was a person in your life, and I'm sure we all have these types of people in our life. It's like they've been really going on an internal journey. And so it's like for like astro magic purposes, right? We wouldn't go and ask Jupiter for, you know, or to do Jupiter magic when he's on a sabbatical, you know? And so the fact that now that planet is turning direct is like, they're back in business, right? It's like the doors are open. I'm ready to start moving forward and doing things. And you know, and we're really looking forward to this because, you know, Jupiter is, you know, because since it went retrograde, went back into the sign of Aquarius, but it was in Pisces at I forget what the exact date, but, you know, I ended up doing a really beautiful series. Let me show you that I did in case you guys haven't seen them. I've posted them a few places, but I did this really beautiful series of Jupiter talismanic materia. And I was able to capture some incredible Jupiter magic. You know, I did actual talismans, aura mists, incense. The incense is amazing. The candles are amazing. And so, but because he went retrograde, it's like, you know, so I was able to capture that juice, right? So I'm really looking forward to Jupiter going direct because it'll be back in Pisces. And when he's back in Pisces, we can capture that starlight again. We can start working with Jupiter being in his home sign of Pisces. So that doesn't happen though until next year. So let me tell you exactly when that is. Jupiter will be back in Pisces in January. So, so as we're previewing 2022, we have that to look forward to, is Jupiter being back in Pisces. So Jupiter magic, you know, we're going to be able to soak up for all of 2022, which is going to be really, really important because I don't have to tell you like what's going on in the world right now. It's so wonderful to be able to have, you know, Jupiter is the planet that acts as like a shield to planet Earth. It protects Earth from, you know, asteroids that would normally hit us. It gives us, you know, luck and protection. So it's going to be a really great, you know, I will be doing Star Disco, by the way, a whole program all on this. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that in 2022. I'm super looking forward to that, working with Jupiter Magic, because it's just going to be so needed in the times that we're living in. Because let me just tell you, from now until 2027, we are in a tumultuous time of change. It's not going to lessen up, guys. It's 2027 is like, as we're just getting to like a big so the heat is only going to be turning up. So the more things that you can do to get your shit in order, right? Like get squared away, get on your self mastery, do the things that you came here to do, get clear on what your purpose is. Really take your health and your wealth to the next level, because it's just going to be more challenging from now until 2027. It's just we chose, and this isn't to be all doom and gloom. This is about, you chose to be alive and incarnate on this time and planet Earth for a reason, because you're here to usher in the new age, to be a part of to ground in the new earth frequencies, the new earth paradigm, you know, of freedom and liberation from, you know, a lot of the, you know, the control and the deception and the manipulation and the powers of oppression that, you know, are here on this planet. So we're here to be those change makers. And so it's, you know, a lot of people are saying, and I agree, that it's like a battle for the soul of humanity. It's a battle for the soul of, you know, of the human race. And especially for the world that we want to leave for our children, because they're the ones that are going to be, you know, in all of this. We're in the, you know, this breaking down and the decay, you know, of these systems of oppression. And, you know, as long as Pluto is still in the sign of Capricorn, which is going to be until 2024, I believe, is not when Pluto gets into Aquarius. Whoops. Yeah, Pluto gets into Aquarius, 2024, 2025. So, I mean, that's the breaking down. Remember, we spoke about Pluto is the planet that's about change and transformation, the god of the underworld. And so in the sign of Capricorn, it's like the systems that have been in control for a really long time, AKA the patriarchy, AKA the global financial elite, you know, people that are running sex slavery, you know, financial slavery, you know, on this planet. That's one of those symbols is Capricorn. And so Pluto being in the sign of Capricorn is about all of that getting deconstructed. It's like ripping out all of this foundation of corruption that exists. And it's not happening out there. It's also happening here inside of each and every one of us, you know, all of our own personal shadows of where we operate from control and lack of trust and manipulation. And the fact that it's out there means that it's also in here, right? It wouldn't be out there if it wasn't inside of each and every one of us. So this is work for us to be doing in order to change, you know, what we're seeing in the world. So, all right, but coming back to, so that, October 19th, I believe, is that, let's see, is that when the full moon is? No, whoops, November. No. The full moon is on the 20th. So that's the month, the halfway point of this new cycle that, begins October 6th on the new moon. So that halfway point, right, is it's bringing to light what seeds were planted, what new beginnings were initiated in the sign of Libra. Now, boom, is an opportunity to see, you know, some visible manifestations of that. And it's going to be a full moon in the sign of Aries. And this is all squaring Pluto. So this is really important because there's a T square. So October 20th, when we have a T square, what happens is all of that tension from the opposition of the sun and the moon, and then that third leg. So a T square means it looks like this. So like, let's say the sun is over here, the moon is over here, and then that third planet is down here. There is it's like it releases that tension into where that opening is, and that's going to be in the sign of Cancer. So definitely want to be paying attention. Cancer rules over family. Cancer rules over the home. It rules over our primordial origins, our ancestry. So that's where we're going to be feeling a lot of energy that wants to be channeled onto that, on that date, on that full moon. So, paying special attention, right, to your loved ones, to those that are nearest and dearest to your heart, to cultivating those relationships, that emotional security, your body, your relationship to your body, your relationship to the earth, to nourishing yourself, to your emotional health and well-being, is where we're going to be feeling, that full moon really having that release of energy there. So that's October 20th. And let's see, anything else that's important? Something that also is significant is that the nodes are going to be shifting. Okay. So the nodes are what creates the eclipses. It is the intersection point. It's of the ecliptic, meaning the intersection point between, from the perspective here on Earth, where the sun, the path of the path of the Earth around the sun, and the moon around the Earth, where that crosses, is called the nodes. It's not a planetary position. It's a point. It's an astrological location. It's a point. And in esoteric astrology, it's where, we are said to, our soul enters and leaves from the nodes. So, for those of you who are familiar with alchemy and the Ouroboros, the snake that eats its own tail, right? That's the symbol of the soul. So the north node is the dragon's head, and the south node is the dragon's tail. The north node being where our soul is hungry. It's where it's desiring to grow and expand. And the south node is like where we've come from, the lifetimes and the memories and it's the resources and the material that we've accumulated, psychic material that we've accumulated, and that we're turning into spiritual wealth, in this lifetime. And so collectively, where these nodes have been is in the axis of Sagittarius and Gemini. So there's been collective transformation happening in these signs, hence why the political and social media, television, the social, like that's been a big thing that's been up, is like seeing how intimately that those are connected, meaning that the media is very much able to influence the political arena, the political system, and what we're programming essentially people with. So there's been a lot, our souls have been going through a transformation, right, in these areas. And these nodes, you know, are going to be moving. That axis is going to be moving right now. You know, it's moving, it's like at 1 degree, right, of Gemini and Sagittarius. And so, you know, we're going to be having the eclipses again in December. November 18th and 19th, and then December 4th. So the lunar eclipse. So these are very significant. I will be, you know, for more information on that, I've done a whole video all on that, but they're very significant, you know, for our soul's growth and development whenever we have these eclipses, because what it does is it has the effect of turning the light switch on and off in our life. Usually what it does is it brings up stuff that's just so deep, so deep in our DNA, in our psyches, and it like turns the light switch on. And they're a type of wormhole. They really do, similar to the Mercury retrogrades or any of the planetary retrogrades. The nodes are like that, right? Where it's a wormhole that really helps you to, you can travel through your karma, very quickly, and, you know, for good or for evil. You know, like, I don't believe in good or evil, but meaning, you know, you can really set some incredible precedences karmically forward, you know, in your evolution, or set some balls in motion that, you know, is like you're starting a karmic cycle that, you know, so they're very, you really want to pay attention to them. So anyhow, happening in November, the lunar eclipse. So that is like a mega wattage full moon. That's happening November 18th and 19th. And then December 4th will be the total solar eclipse, you know, in the sign of Sagittarius. So that lunar eclipse is, hold on a second. That is going to be a Gemini full moon. Let me just double check. November 18th. Yeah, November 18th is going to be a Gemini lunar eclipse. So if you're a Gemini, really important to pay attention to. It's going to initiate potentially massive transformation in your life, and or where you have Gemini, if you are a Gemini, or if for any of the signs where you have Gemini and Sagittarius, right? It's like, that's where this incredible wormhole opportunity is available. So November 18th and 19th, and then December 4th. And then the nodes will be moving into Taurus. So in January of 2022, we're having the nodal shift, right? Which means those nodes are going to be moving into Taurus and Scorpio. So that's where my nodes are. My north node is in Taurus, and the south node is in Scorpio. So I'm going to be having what's called a lunar, not a lunar return, a nodal return, meaning the nodes are returning to the position of when I was born. So for those of you who are having this, you know, or, you know, I know some of you guys in here that have the opposite, meaning your north node is in Scorpio and your south node is in Taurus. So you're having the nodal opposition. Incredibly significant in your soul's journey in this lifetime. Really pay attention to those. It's where you, if you like, you can really get into alignment with where your soul just really wants to do magic this lifetime. And a lot of times it's you aligning with people that you're meant to be aligned with, right? That are meant to be your allies to really guide you and take you to for your soul's greatest evolution this lifetime. It could also be where you lose a lot of people, right? That again aren't in alignment with that. So this is going to change the collective, you know, a lot, because we're going to be, you know, instead of this collective conversation around the media and politics, it's going to start becoming about values and about psychological power and themes around intimacy, sexuality, transparency, values, but also, you know, the earth and, you know, taking care of our bodies, the sensual aspect, the material realm, wealth, you know, physical wealth, money. We might really, this is, you know, we really will start to see what's going to be happening with money. Meaning, you know, our currency is going to be changing. So we might start, especially when those nodes get close to Uranus. Let's see when that happens. That's not going to happen for a while. May, not May, wait, hold on. July. Yeah, so like July, August, starting then is that's when the nodes will be conjunct Uranus next year. So July, August, September, really starting, and Uranus brings sudden changes, like what the fuck, like type stuff, like, oh my God, I just fell off my unicorn, or, you know, my fucking house burned down, you know, like that kind of very destabilizing, but also potentially incredibly like liberating experiences. So that's, you know, something to be paying attention to. And, you know, this is going to be happening at around 18 degrees, between 14 and 18 degrees of the fixed signs Taurus and Scorpio. So if you have planets, you know, or positions prominent there, any of the fixed signs, really, really important. Stuff's going to be happening big time there in your life, in your chart. I just want to kind of go back and see something. So yeah, so that last eclipse, you know, is going to be happening in November. And then in December, we've got the Venus retrograde, you know, happening. That's going to be starting in the sign of Capricorn. So yeah, I think that's everything that I wanted to cover. In November, you know, Mars is going to be getting into Scorpio, so that's going to be a fucking amazing. We have that to look forward to. You know, we always like when the planets are in their sign of dignity or exaltation, because it's like they've got juice, right? It's like awesome. You know, I can really, you know, focus on this area of my life and make a lot of headway. So, you know, Mars is the planet of ambition, sex, power, vitality, you know, courage, creative confidence, you know, and so, and being in the sign of Scorpio means we're just having a lot of juice to really just like go big in that area of your life, like wherever you have Scorpio. So, and I think that that's going to be really incredible to take advantage of, especially because the nodes are going to be moving into Scorpio, right? The South node is going to be moving into Scorpio. So, which means that area is going to, you know, we're going to be the South node, right? Is like where we let go of things, right? It's like where we go from materialization to spiritualization. So, I like the metaphor of like looking at Mars being in Scorpio as like doing the dirty work. Like it's literally like rolling up your sleeves and going into the fucking septic tank, right? Because that's what Scorpio is. It's like the underworld. It's your intestines. It's the deep dark taboo shit that you don't like the garbage man. Like most people don't like talking about, sex, their money, inheritances, taxes, like the taboo stuff, right? But Mars there is like, roll up the sleeves and let's get it, And so really shoring up, security in that area of your life, getting it clean, getting it in integrity, getting very transparent around, wherever that falls for you in your chart, you know, is you want to get that done, right? Like before the nodes get there, because you dig your well before you're thirsty. I think that's a beautiful metaphor actually for that, is digging your well before you're thirsty. You don't wait till you're thirsty to then, oh, I got to dig a well because, it's like, no, you're going to die, if you don't do that. Dig your well now. So, that's why I'm like super, super stoked about this third round of Mars Moxie. You guys have plenty of time if that's something that you're interested in to prepare for, to save up for, if that's something that you need to do. We're starting November 11th, 11/11. And it's going to be fucking epic. So I'm going to be running a special. In the month of October on that. So meaning you're going to get access to special pricing on that. The regular pricing is 11/11. So we start 11/11. It's going to be 11/11, meaning that's what it's starting at going to be, but I will be having special pricing on that. So if that's something that you're interested in, reach out to me, or you can wait until I announce that, which I will be announcing very soon, here.